Rules. A rule is any guiding principle or creative criterion. It might exist within the artist, the genre, or the culture. Rules, by their nature, are limitations. The laws of math and science are different from the rules we're looking at here. Those laws describe precise relationships in the physical world, which we know to be true by testing them against the world itself. The rules artists learn are different. They are assumptions, not absolute. They describe a goal or method for short-term or long-term results. They are there to be tested, and they are only of value as long as they are helpful. They're not laws of nature. All kinds of assumptions masquerade as laws: a suggestion from a self-help book, something heard in an interview, your favorite artist's best tip, an expression in the culture, or something a teacher once told you. Rules direct us to average behaviors. If we're aiming to create works that are exceptional, most rules don't apply. Average is nothing to aspire to. The goal is not to fit in. If anything, it's to amplify the differences. What doesn't fit? The special characteristics unique to how you see the world. Instead of sounding like others, you value your own voice. Develop it, cherish it. As soon as a convention's established, the most interesting work would likely be the one that doesn't follow it. The reason to make art is to innovate and self-express, show something new, share what's inside, and communicate your singular perspective. Pressures and expectations come from the different directions. Society's mores dictate what's right and wrong, what's accepted and frowned upon, what's celebrated and reviled. The artists who define each generation are generally the ones who live outside of these boundaries. Not the artists who embody the beliefs and conventions of their time, but the ones who transcend them. Art is confrontation. It widens the audience's reality, allowing them to glimpse life through a different window, one with the potential for a glorious new view. In the beginning, we approach our craft with a template of what's come before. If you're writing a song, you might think it should be 3 to 5 minutes long and have a certain amount of repetition. To a bird, a song's a very different thing. The bird doesn't prefer a 3 to 5 minute format or accept the chorus as the hook. Yet the song for the bird is just as sonorous and even more intrinsic to the bird's being. If an invitation, a warning, a way to connect, a means of survival. It's a healthy practice to approach our work with as few accepted rules, starting points, and limitations as possible. Often the standards in our chosen medium are so ubiquitous, we take them for granted. They are invisible and unquestioned. This makes it nearly impossible to think outside the standard paradigm. Visit an art museum. Most of the paintings you'll see are canvas stretched over a rectangular frame made of wood, whether it's a Jacques Louis David, The Death of Socrates, or the altarpiece painting of Hilma af Klint. The content may vary, yet the materials are consistent. There's generally accepted standards. If you want to paint, you're likely to begin by stretching canvas over a rectangular wooden frame and prepping it on an easel. Based solely on the tools selected, you've already exponentially narrowed what's possible before a single drop of paint has made contact with the canvas. We assume the equipment and format are part of the art form itself, yet painting can be anything that involves the use of color on a surface for an aesthetic or communicative purpose. All other decisions are up to the artist. Similar conventions are woven into most art forms. A book is a certain number of pages and is divided into chapters. A feature film's 90 to 120 minutes and often 3 acts. Embedded in each medium, there are sets of norms that restrain our work before we've even begun. Genres in particular come with distinct variations on rules. A horror film, a ballet, or a country album each come with specific expectations. As soon as you use a label to describe what you're working on, there's a temptation to conform to its rules. The templates of the past can be an inspiration in the beginning phases, but it's helpful to think beyond what's been done before. The world isn't waiting for more of the same. Often the most innovative ideas come from those who master the rules to such a degree that they can see past them, or from those who never learned them at all. The most deceptive rules are not the ones we can see, but the ones we can't. These can be found hiding deeper in the mind, often unnoticed, just beyond our awareness. Rules that entered our thinking through childhood programming, lessons we've forgotten, osmosis from the culture, and emulating the artists who inspired us to try it for ourselves. These rules can serve or limit us. Be aware of any assumptions based on conventional wisdom. Rules obeyed unconsciously are far stronger than the ones set on purpose, and they're more likely to undermine the work. Every innovation risks becoming a rule, and innovation risks becoming an end in itself. When we make a discovery that serves our work, it's not unusual to concretize this into a formula. On occasion, we decide this formula is who we are as an artist, what our voice is and isn't. While this may benefit certain makers, it can be a limitation for others. Sometimes a formula has diminishing returns. What? Other times we don't recognize that the formula is only a small aspect of what gives the work its charge. It's helpful to continually challenge your own process. If you had a good result using a specific style, method, or working condition, don't assume that it's the best way, or your way, or the only way. Avoid getting religious about it. There may be other strategies that work just as well and allow new possibilities, directions, and opportunities. This isn't always true, but it's something to consider. Hold on. Holding every rule as breakable is a healthy way to live as an artist. It loosens constraints that promote a predictable sameness in our working methods. As you get further along in your career, a consistency may develop that's of less interest over time. Your work can start to feel like a job or responsibility, so it's helpful to notice if you've been working with the same palette of colors all along. Start the next project by scrapping that palette. The uncertainty that results can be a thrilling and scary proposition. Once you have a new framework, some elements of your older process may find their way back into the work, and that's okay. It's helpful to remember that when you throw away an old playbook, you still get to keep the skills you learned along the way. These hard-earned abilities transcend rules. They're yours to keep. Imagine what can arise when you overlay an entirely new set of materials and instructions over your accumulated expertise. As you move away from familiar rules, you may bump up against more hidden rules that have been guiding you all along without your knowledge. Once you recognize these rules may be released or used with more intention. Any rule is worth testing, and be it conscious or unconscious. Challenge your assumptions and methods. You might find a better way, and even if it's not better, you'll learn from the experience. All of these experiments are like free throws. You have nothing to lose.